All right. Peace on earth. Ethan Indigo Smith here. I'm going to break down one of my great gifts that is not a gift necessarily. One of my skills, um, that is also a curse. Right? A skill that is also a curse. Um, in the sense that my life would be so much easier if I didn't develop this skill. But first, let me shout out to all the mental wussies of the world who dare not drink tea, be it Earl Grey or chai or mate, or as I'm drinking today, some Gotu Cola, which is one of the most high-end, efficient nervine tonics the world knows. So let's all pause in reflection and maybe even give a little props to the guys out there that think it's tough to drink coffee and eat meat and potatoes only. Let's get past that cliche because you know what that is parallel with is the idea that people are who are studious and research are not masculine. And just imagine 300 years ago where great philosophers had tea in the good old boys' room. Today, there's a bunch of books they discussed, current events, and liberty. Can you imagine the quoted and referenced original patriots hanging out with masculine quote unquote types today? Oh, they couldn't do it. They couldn't even enjoy their herbal tea. In fact, if you say that word, herbal, that expression, herbal tea, people think you're feminine. Isn't that an example of the distortion of cultural steering to make health and drinks oriented with perverted masculinity? Because the toughness that these folks would display is certainly shallow and an example of just a outright wussy. Like if you can't even be learned and if you don't dare to have herbal tea, what kind of heart do you have? And that brings us into the topic of today. One of the best skills I've developed over my life, and sometimes I regret it, sometimes I forget it, and sometimes old friends don't let me forget it. That I probably, but I'll remember that though I'll have several times, in my recollection of life, as one might do, how things led to certain situations. Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to have an easy 2020, if you want to have the easiest 2020, just simply kiss ass. Because you'll fall in line and you'll get money and you'll get ahead even, and things will be so easy and pleasant for you. But I tell you what, if you're walking around kissing ass of the status quo today, you are a wussy who doesn't deserve herbal tea. So flip the script. Let's learn some stuff, have some herbal tea, and stop kissing ass. All right. So if for real though, if you really want to be have an easy life, just don't just always never question anything and kiss their ass. And they'll all the hollow, shallow fakes with everything you might want will offer you open doors. And that'll be easy. But you know what else? You'll never create anything. You'll never have thought related to your individual true self. You'll never be anything but a yes man in line with whatever situation you happen to be in. You'll never create anything new because you'll be too busy kissing ass. So, if you want to be true to your authentic self, if you want to be creative, if you want to go through the breaking that it leads to breakthroughs, call people out, call situations out. Don't kiss ass of narcissists and liars around you. Don't let it slide because it's just how it is. The apathy to lies I've discussed frequently, but the immersion in a culture of kiss asses, this has got to be addressed. And it's the same bully-ish, stupid, ignorant clucks that go about harping, talking smack on people who would drink chai tea that never learned anything beyond what they had to, that kiss ass and display the most weakling characteristics, phenomenal levels of ass kissing that makes the United States a culture of ass kissers. Tell me what happens when an authority figure pulls you over, say a police officer. Those folks. Sorry, yes sir, no sir. Sometimes people with heart, they don't, and look what happens to them in this culture of liars, homeless, and police abuse. We got to sometimes say, all right, I'll verbally be a sycophant around the gentleman with the gun who's easily offended. But I tell you what I try to do is never say thank you, officer. That is out of my lingo. If they're pulling me over and talking to me about getting me into some trouble, even if they let me go, or if they try to act like they were nice and down the ticket a little bit, no thank you. Okay, goodbye. Never no thank you. Thank you for trying to take away my liberty. I'm not really trying to do that. And I tell you what, they expect it. The overseers, excuse me, officers expect it, right? And so do a lot of people in every social situation. And sometimes, you know, you'll see people, I don't want to point to myself, but you'll see people where they kind of get by in levels, social situations where there's boxed wine and there's champagne, where there's packets and there's, you know, books, right? So, like, it's authenticity that all levels of people recognize, right? If you don't kiss ass, you might have a hard time for a little bit here and there, especially with those that are accustomed to it. But you'll be welcomed amongst the social strata that see that, amongst the people that appreciate that, and that'll be rewarding in your life. So I see a lot of emasculated folks trying to act like they're tough, basically by being order followers and going under the wing of the forceful institutions. And this is basically a level of ass kissing that leads you to then have people kiss your ass. And most of those types do not like anything in reference to self development, Tai Chi, or anything that might be healthful, Chai tea. So I hope people get that correlation, and let's let's go with another lesson too. If in order to really let that sink in, that ass kissing leads to really having no creativity and no character worth mention historically, right? And break it down. Jesus was not an ass kisser. Gandhi was not an ass kisser. You know, so you gotta the lesson I wanna state is that if your mind is always on something, you cannot be open to something else, right? So if you're always thinking about the program, right, and how because ass kissing is like a feigning in nature. It's like a way for animals to be sneaky and get what they want from the alphas, right? So really like what people are doing there is they're behaving like little biological entities because animals, man, give animals some credit. They would only do that if they were stuck. They had to. I guess I guess a lot of people might see themselves as stuck, like they had to kiss ass. But it's almost like Jason in Nightmare on Elm Street. As soon as you stop kissing ass, then you realize you never had to in the first place. And, in the movie I'm referencing, as soon as you were unafraid of the bad guy, his effects disappeared. Poof. So what's real, right? Is a hero a uniform wearing order follower who demands people kiss their ass? I mean, what's the true hero in the postmodern world? More like someone like Greta or someone like, the dropout archetype that I put forth in my book, The Terrorist Letters. Cop it before they stop it. The dropout, who sees the reality of the situation, and although they may not be able to articulate it, they start looking into it, and then they can articulate it better than anybody on the planet practically, with more emotive. Oh yeah, she's steered by George Soros. Who isn't? Your criticism of a 16-year-old girl is steered by entities. Trust me on that. And everybody talks of the people that talk about activists pertaining to climate change are the ones that are talking about temperature the most. The people, the activists that are looking at the world situation are probably moreover looking at actual science. Hopefully, also the situation from the nuclear experimentation, year 74, and also from the oil companies' overt conspiracy to pollute the earth while making money. They were doing it for making money, not just to kill everything. But I mean, it's well established that corporations lied about sugar making you fat, that corporations lied about smoking making you well, and that oil corporations lied that they didn't know about their product was causing regional, if not planetary, destruction. So, if you're an ass kisser in postmodern world, you really got problems, man. Forget about being creative, right? Like let's move on from that. Like you might just be hopeless of being creative. Stop being an ass kisser for the planet. All right, my time is up. Peace on earth. Check me out for chai tea and tai chi a little later. You know how it goes. That's good. Next episode, we're gonna have the real terrorist on here. TERRA. All right.